right, looks like we are assembling. The forces are assembling. As you can see behind me, the forces are definitely assembling. It's been quite a weekend in the world, hasn't it? What a wild weekend it's been. To cover it tonight in terms of the big picture. Welcome. It's another edition of Sunday Night AstroLive. I'm Robert Phoenix, and you are you until further notice, apparently. What's going on, my man? Look who's here. He was, I was here hanging out, setting up. Was he around? No. But he's here now, ladies and gentlemen. It is the astrological cat. Come on, let's go. That's not supposed to be playing. I could get in trouble from YouTube for that. Hold on. Yes. Jasper, I know you love Nick Drake. I know you're a big Nick Drake fan. Hold on. You can't mess with my soda. Okay. What's going on, everybody? Yes, here he is. It's the Astro Cat. Back for another edition of Sunday Night AstroLive. It's really all about, I'm not supposed to be touching that part of you. He got flea medicine. I'm not supposed to be touching it. It's back there. Let me wash my hands. I'll be right back. I'll be back. Stay there. Yeah, I told you I'd be back. I can't pet you there. I can't pet you there. Yeah, trying to deal with the old flea situation out here in the wilderness, where there is a lot of insect life. What's going on, everybody? How are you? Welcome to another edition of Sunday Night AstroLive. Yes, things are happening. Things are really if I could play a song right now, it would be by Peter Frampton. It'd be Something's Happening, because something is happening. Something really big is happening, and you are a part of it. And we're going to get into it astrologically. We got a full moon tonight in Pisces, and the energy is very interesting, to say the least. I saw it as I was walking out to inspect a few things I did today around the 40 acres. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful moon. We're coming into these fall moons, which are up here above the equator. They're really lovely. And they get kind of rich and red at this time of year, which is kind of what they're supposed to do. Orangey, ready, looking like a giant pumpkin in the sky. Australia went nuts on Saturday. They went nuts. I mean, it was really. I'm not going to play any of the video. I'm going to save for tomorrow. So on tomorrow's show over on 15 Minutes of Flame, that's 15 minutes ovoflame.com. We'll cover the Australia stuff in the video part of it in a pretty significant way. You know what I love about this picture behind me is it's dudes. We got dudes here. There's got the guy look like Bane. They got Bane there. They got Bane, and then there was this one guy that was kicking ass like Batman. Holy shit! That video went viral, and I saw the video yesterday, and I'm watching it. I'm like, it's kind of amazing just as a video. But I saw this one guy, and he goes in, and you come on. You get back here. He goes up and he throws one of these cops to the ground, does just a full-on judo move, right? I'm like, wow, that was really impressive. It was really impressive. And then the isolated footage of that guy came out. And I know you people have seen it. And he breaks through the line with the rest of the Aussies. And he runs into this guy. So he's got a face covering on and he's got goggles on. So he's kind of protected. And they're what are you doing? They're spraying bug spray. That's what they're doing. They're spraying. It really is. That's pretty much what it is. It's bug spray. It's like, wasp spray. And they're spraying. So this guy gets a big dose of this human bug spray. And he turns around because he has to kind of get it. But before that, he's running through and this guy's about to club him. And he takes and gives him a right cross and knocks the dude down. I'm like, whoa, that was intense. Then he keeps running and he gets hit with this spray. And then he turns around. And then as he's coming back, it's almost like a video game. There's this big kind of lurching, Bobby, and he takes his shoulder. You can tell the guy's probably played rugby, and he just knocks him to the ground. And then he turns and he runs again. Then he does the judo throw. Now, I had seen the judo throw on Saturday. I had not seen the other stuff. It was really fucking impressive. I got to tell you right now, it was impressive. And Australia, hats off. You're getting out there. You're getting up and using your God-given right to be a human and say no to the absolute and utter abject tyranny that is taking place in your country. And I like it because we're seeing men here, and in Australia they don't have guns, so they've got to use whatever they can find. They were throwing like parking cones, emergency cones. That was like one of their weapons was emergency. But this one protest, they were very effective. Now they said they arrested 267 people. That might be the case. And maybe this is why they're going to have the camps, not just for the people who are so-called unvaccinated, the purebloods, but also to put dissidents. Because I think now, if you get arrested by these people in Australia now, there's probably a pretty good chance they'll ship you off to one of these facilities. That's what I think. And word of that is going to go around pretty quickly. And it's going to be an interesting thing to watch with what happens there with the rest of the folks. I think Mars is in Libra now, if I'm not mistaken. We'll take a look at that tonight. And Mars in Libra is a surprisingly feisty Mars. It is a surprise. We think that Mars in Aries is, gung-ho. And I've met people who have Mars in Aries. And sometimes I've met people with Mars in Aries. And you would think that they'd be more action-oriented. Sometimes they're not. It's a very interesting thing to watch when you come across somebody who has a specific astrological sign and aspect, and they don't always live up to the profile. But I have found almost to a T that Mars and Libra people are feisty. And when we think about Mars and Libra, and I've talked about this before, it's like the social cause. Mars and Libra needs a cause. Here we go. We got Mars and Libra. And at this point in time, we'll still be able to see Mars until I think it's around the 13th. And after that, it ducks behind the sun. So this is a very interesting time astrologically and even astronomically, because it gets hidden out of the view for a while and then comes around again. And we begin to see it in some of the outer planets. So for the next few weeks, I think it's like the next 3 weeks, it's the last time Mars will be visible for a while. And I think it's important, I think just from kind of a mass perspective, I think it's important. And it's something we can theoretically tap into. Once it goes behind the sun, it's going into Scorpio, actually sort of the latter degrees of Libra, and then Scorpio, Sagittarius. And once it goes through the outer planets, it's moving away from this idea of the people. This all started off with Mars and Aries last year for a very long period of time. And Mars has been all about those very personal planets from Aries to right now Libra, which is the gateway from the personal to the transpersonal. So it's all been about how you as an individual can figure out and understand how to marshal your energy, how to marshal your response. So this is kind of the denouement moment for this Mars transit, which really began in 2020. And being in Libra, it's in the opposite sign. And we saw absolute just carnage when Mars was in Aries. Carnage. This was the summer of Floyd when Mars was in Aries. It was like, oh my God. It was very evident that we were dealing with really heavy Mars energy, and especially with the Mars Chiron conjunctions going on at that time. That was very intense energy, and it was very hard to watch, super hard to watch. So here we are now. We're 180 degrees away from that, pretty much, and if we could use that. Okay, let's just use Mars and Aries from that period of time as an example of how Mars was manifested. Then Mars and Libra would be the opposite. I'm rolling the dice on it. Mars and Libra is going to be the opposite. Mars and Libra will be much more about the true equality. Because it was really interesting with Black Lives Matter and the whole Antifa shit. When Mars was in Aries, it was very kind of self-aggrandizing. There was really no sense or rhyme or reason to any of it. It was just like blind rage is really what it was. And we got a full dose of that. And it was the activation of just anger and violence and the expression of a very explosive subset of the collective. Now in Libra, it's different. With Libra, now we're doing something kind of real, like pretty real. Libra is about justice and equality and fairness. So now Mars has a real, how do I say this? Social cause or a cause to attach itself to, which is good because back then it didn't. It was just individuals going fucking berserk and tearing statues down. That's really all it was. There was no Mars and Libra about it. None at all. So this is going to be an interesting time. Very, very interesting time. Energetically, I feel like we've made a shift. I started to feel it. I tweeted about this. I started to feel about 72 hours, maybe about 4 days ago. May have coincided with a good night's sleep, which is rare for me. But I woke up and I felt different. And I've been feeling pretty different since that. I think it was Wednesday. Wednesday was a big shift day. And it's interesting to watch a lot of the global energy rise as a result of what's going on. And I'd like to think that that it's coinciding with what I was feeling post Wednesday, that all of a sudden now there was this fomenting of this collective energy. And we're way into this Aquarian thing now. It has really picked up some steam. So I'd like to think that that's a big part of it. And I was thinking about the 100th Monkey and that whole thing with Rupert Sheldrake. And I think we have all played with this idea that if we got to a certain number or percentage of consciousness and conscious awareness, that everything would just click, and then it would multiply, or it would become a quantum moment. And there's a lot of speculation as to what that number might be. 30%, 35%, 20%, 25%. Once we got to that moment, then it would become exponential. I think we're there. I think we're there. I think we've hit that exponential moment. And it's a really interesting thing to think about, because for a long time, there have been a group of us. I'd like to think that we've been doing our best to hold the line and shine the light. Some people would say, well, you're nuts, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're crazy, you're a wacko. That may be true, but I've got a wife, I've got kids, I've got a job. There's always those things that get in the way. And the people who held those positions, I really don't think they ever really changed. Maybe a few, but most of the people who were on board early on, who saw the world in very different terms, we're still here. Our numbers have not decreased. And what's happened is that our numbers, but our group numbers now have increased. And we have a whole swath of people, a big bandwidth that's getting bigger. And again, I think the number thing it's important, but it's only important to the point where we click through and everything goes quantum. And we're there. I believe we're there. And the reason I believe we're there, I'm going to talk about some of this tonight, is because of some of the, well, strange bedfellows. I would call them now strange bedfellows, who are a part of the human experience where we're waking up. And I'm going to talk about Nicki Minaj tonight. We're going to look at her chart. She's got a pretty intense chart. We're also going to look at the chart of the moment, obviously, with the full moon. And I read something quite interesting earlier in the week. And it was just one of these little news blips. And the news blip was that they plan on mass producing Sophia in 2022. You know who Sophia is? She's the world's first international citizen. She was granted citizenship by Saudi Arabia in October. And that was October of what? I think it was 2017. I think it was 2017. Well, she was activated on Valentine's Day in 2016. So we're going to look at Sophia's chart. And I think it's the first chart I've ever done for a non-human, besides a pet. I think I've done a few pet charts. First chart I've ever done for a non-human. It's a very interesting chart, particularly in light of the super conjunction. So we're going to get into that. We're going to look at also her creator god, Dan Hansen, who is originally from Texas. I don't know if he lives here anymore. His company, Hansen Robotics, is based out of Hong Kong. So the two people who were fairly responsible for Sophia have been the Chinese and the Saudi Arabians. Kind of interesting. We're going to look at her chart. We're going to look at Dan Hansen's chart. We're going to look at the chart of the moment, Nicki Minaj, and I think that's probably where we're going to go tonight. So welcome to Sunday Night AstroLive. Welcome to the moment. Welcome to the moment that we understand and realize that we are in a fight for our lives, in a fight for the planet's life, in a fight for the life of consciousness and God and humanity. This is it. You're in it now. There's no turning back. We're all in this together. We're really in this together. The other shit we weren't in together very much, but we're in this together. We are in this together. And I can't express how proud I am of the Australian people who got up and said no more. And I've scanned through a number of different videos and feeds. Italy, off the hook. France, off the hook. The English are out there every single weekend, off the hook. The Danes, the Dutch, in their weird way, off the hook. Even the Canadians, Canada, you've got some real issues coming your way. Some big time issues coming your way, particularly the implementation of a digital currency, which I think it's not far away from all of us, by the way. That's something that we're probably going to have to really stare down at some point. And with the nodes changing, with the true node going into Taurus and the south node going into Scorpio, I think we'll begin to see. Oh, what do you want to do now? You want to spread your flea medicine on me? Is that what you want to do? You want to do that? Well, what is that down there? Is that a little lump? What is that? What is that? I have to take you to the vet. Huh? I'm gonna have to give you ivermectin. I don't know how ivermectin is for cats. Probably all right. Yeah, we're not going to do that though. Anyway, why don't we do an invocation and let me go into chat, and then we'll bust some moves here. Here we go. Dear blessed Holy Mother, Father God of the great central sun, within the universal light, which is the light of Yeshua, Sananda, Emmanuel, we ask that only the highest and best information, wisdom, and truth come through this channel at this time. And we affirm and decree, and we pray for strength. We pray for strength and commitment and courage and the ability to endure these times and to do so in a spirit of love and cooperation and awareness and awakening. We ask that any karmic residue be cleansed, purified, clarified, and removed from this stream at this time. We say, Jasper, you ready to go? You ready to go? You know what I need to do? I need to make this a little bit bigger for you. We used to have that back at the other place. You had more of kind of a area to put your big butt on. All right, why don't we get into here? Let me see who's here tonight. Let's do a little roll call. Let's see what we have here. How many people do we have watching? 114. Hey, that's a good group. All right, who do we have? We got EC 2189 Kaku. There she is. Jonas, Jennifer Rubin. How's it going, JR? WC Ray, what's happening? There's Ryan, Kara McLaughlin. Cheryl, what's going on? We hung out with Ibrahim and Kimberly today. They were really thankful that you were able to connect with them. There's my man Thor by the door. What's going on, Steve? Double B, Beth Berry. Christy, what's going on, Christy? Miss Nikki's here. Renee is here. Glock Peace. Is this volcano setting up a tsunami for the East Coast? Or is it this fear? You know, it's a really good question. I mean, we are in a seismic time. We are totally in a seismic time. I think it's probably both. I think it's both. That may sound like a cop-out answer, but we are living in seismic times, tectonic times. And I think they've had these earthquake swarms with La Palma and the Canary Islands before. They've evacuated the islands. So that must mean something. Elizabeth W's here. What's going on? April Himmel, Sarah, Susie Gemini. Hello to both of you. Michelle on Wheels. Hey, Michelle. PB's here. Seeger, when Von Sydow shows up at the end of Death Watch, it's the equivalent of the solo at the end of Achilles' Last Stand. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So Seeger is, he's referencing Death Watch with, I think it's Maria Schell and Harvey Keitel and Max von Sydow. And Sydow just brings it. He just, you know what's amazing about Max von Sydow? When he really first comes onto the scene, he looks like he's about, I don't know, 60 years old. He's this weary knight from the Crusades. And he kind of stayed in that lane for a long time. And he was a great actor. Max von Sydow was an amazing actor. He's in 3 Days of the Condor. And he plays an assassin in 3 Days of the Condor, and he's menacing, really menacing in 3 Days of the Condor. By the way, Death Watch, fantastic movie. Very underrated. Let's see. Who else do we have? 77. Hey, what's going on, Irene? Hope you're doing well. There's Natasha. Gonna see you soon. Gucci the Goats. Hello there. There's my man. Masaki. Renee is here. Jane in Austin. Hi, Jane. There's Jasper Tail. Yes, full moon coming on. Silicone ass of truth. You're having such a good time with this Nicki Minaj thing. But who isn't? Who isn't? Nicki Minaj is like the Patrick Henry of our times now. Talk about strange bedfellows. Exactly. Buy Jasper coin. Masaki wants me to do a Jasper coin. If anybody out there has any kind of knowledge with digital currency and blockchain, you want to start a Jasper coin, send me an email. We might be able to do something. Let's see. Try Comfortus for dogs and fleas. It does make sense. Yeah, she's a truth teller. The full moon is happening on my natal moon. Ooh, there's a lot of possibility there. Are you feeling creative? Very receptive, very, very receptive energy. And you're in Aries too. So you've got that, boy, you've got that balsamic moon in Pisces. That's powerful. This could be a really powerful time for you. A lot of realization. The thing with the moon, the full moons are all about illumination. What are they illuminating? They're illuminating the dark, aren't they? Let's see. Finally, they've gone Mad Max 2. I know, right? Yeah, that dude, he had some rugby skills. He had some serious rugby skills, for sure. Hey, Denise Walker. What's going on? Marianne Smith. She's here. Checking in from the occupied territories of San Francisco. Is it the yellow or the blue spray? I think it's the yellow spray. Oh, that's phase 4. You're talking about phase 4. That's a damn good reference. That's a damn good reference, Sigurd. Damn good reference. That's a phase 4 reference. Very good. Let's see. Young Money, Lil Wayne's record. Label reps Nikki commented in support. And now a VS supermodel, Lutzen Crows, has also spoken up about being injected. What is a VS supermodel? Is that a modeling agency? Let's see. Who else do we have here? Michael Sisternino. What's going on, brother? Claire Guest. Or should I say clairvoyant guest in the house. Allison. Hi, Allison. Joe Mama. Joe Mama's here. Let's see, who else do we have? Fender Bender. I love that. Libra rising and sun with Mars and Libra. I come off very Aries-like. People, I tell you, man, Mars and Libra is it's one of those Marses you can't sleep on. It's way more aggressive than you think, Mars and Libra. That's why Mars and Libra needs a cause. It also needs a partner that they can do things with. If you have Mars and Libra, you need a partner you can do things with. Work out, just whatever. Do it together with Mars and Libra. And you may get into some interesting negotiations about who wears the pants with the Mars and Libra energy. Although, and that's metaphorical. That's metaphorical, by the way. But it's a very underrated energy for Mars, and not as peaceful. It's not very peaceful, actually, but it's a good energy for our time and for right now. And I've seen people who have Mars and Libra. They're excellent debaters. That's one thing with Mars and Libra, especially if you're on the right side of an issue. When you're on the wrong side of an issue, you're AOC, who has Mars and Libra. And all she does is just shoot her mouth off. Okay, let's see who else do we have. Let's see. Less strictly ballroom and more opera stuff. You are so fucking funny, man. That is really good. That is really good. Let's see who else. Lisa, what's going on, Lisa? Glad you. Hey, Danica Rose checking in from Nova Scotia. Brother Zygos. I've had to write tactile emails with Mars and Libra. It's psychological art of war stuff. Stay in the middle ground and make them get out of the way. Yep. That is a Mars and Libra strategy for sure. Steve Letro's here. How you doing? Marie MacArthur, hello. Astrology Decoded is a good book to start studying. Good. Excellent. Let's see. Your content was on fire a year ago. I suspect that fire built up again with the transits going on. Yeah, you know, we try to keep the fires burning here. Definitely. I had a few shows last week. We're pretty toasty. Let's see, who else do we have? Crimmies are here. What's going on, Crimmies? I think Steve is getting ready to, Steve and Chris getting ready to reemerge on the Friday Forecast. Steve has, I think, gone over the halfway point with his book now. So I don't think he feels so stressed. He might be able to devote some more time to Friday. So I think we're going to get the Crimmies back on here again soon. Been missing them. Hi, Dean Mead. Welcome. All right. Sophia will be able to administer 10 shots at once. Just don't ask where the refill valve is. You're on a roll tonight. I highly encourage looking into Gematria. That couple with astrology is mind-blowing. JMP Love. No, you haven't missed much. You missed Jasper's entrance, but he's here. Went to Eric Clapton. No, that's right. He was in town. No jab passports, no test requires, no social. Just a few minutes. Felt like pre-pan. Clapton's an Aries. And he's an unlikely candidate. I have to say, he's an unlikely candidate as someone who would be out front of this thing. And he kind of backdoored it by having those shots. It was interesting because he was doing stuff with Van Morrison prior to getting those shots. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get the shots, I'm going to hang out with Van Morrison, and then I'm going to get switched on. He was already moving in that direction. And then he gets the shots, and then he notices probably there's a change in his body. He's got stuff with his hands. And he really, you know, really doubts his decision now. And if there was anything that kept him from fully embracing his medical reality now, I think that's gone. I think it's gone. But he's an Aries, so he's going to, that's part of the Aries thing is going through conflict, like conflict with self and conflict with other people in his family, and even conflict with the so-called vaccine virus and the needle. You could tell he was really conflicted about the whole, which was very Aries sort of thing. Libra would be very, very different. They have a very different response. But, no, thank you. I'm going to go to the Swiss Alps and hang out. I have the money. I can do that. But Aries is, that's the way Aries is. And, you know, kudos to Eric Clapton, who has a very unusual past, and maybe something about this for him, it might be redemptive, because he went through a very weird scene with Derek and the Dominoes and Patty Harrison and Dwayne Allman. And then there was a whole strange scene with his son falling out of his window. That was a heavy deal. Heavy deal. And I know some people who thought, well, that was a total sacrifice deal. Maybe it was, maybe I don't know. But he's been through some shit. Eric Clapton has been through some shit. So maybe this is his redemptive moment where somehow he can do something that would be helpful to other people. Maybe that's it. All right, let's see what else we have here. Jelena What's going on, Jelena? Julianne, today it really hit me how heavy this is. Hi, Cece. How are you doing? Andrea Garland's here. Thomas Jordan, my man. What's going on, Thomas? Miranda Couch, High Impact Flicks had a disturbing video about colleges in California putting mRNA in seeds to grow the same tech in the poke in grown food. These fucking pod people, these must be pod people. That's like an invasion of the body snatchers move. UC Davis is the laboratory for all that stuff. Genetically modified foods come out of UC Davis. That's really messed up. Totally messed up. Okay, who else do we have here? JJ, what's going on, JJ? Stanton Mick. Good to see you, Stanton Mick. Vigilante, the one and only. Gigi Abby Lynn, I appreciate Clapton. He's such a classic mistake. Influence for me. Music, not mistake. Oh, classic music. There's some Clapton tunes that I like. I love that now we are going to see what celebs haven't sold their soul. Quite possible. Some of them will be on the down low. That's what I think. Kristen Lang. Hey, Emily's here. The Techno Brat. What's going on? Betsy Hakey Russell. Did I miss anybody? I think we're all present and accounted for as I scroll back through. Oh, Lepetius. Lepetius is here. Pisces being found on the full Pisces Neptune conjunct moon. Not an accident. Oh, Gabby Petito. That thing is just so fucking weird. That's such a weird. What's going on with that thing? And I saw her boyfriend's name as Gabby Petito and like little talk, and then her boyfriend. I think I saw his name as Brain Laundry. It's really Brian, but I saw one story where it's Brain Laundry, which is like brainwash. They're brainwash, and you had little talk. Weird. Whole thing is very weird. I'm not sure what to make of it. Only if that perhaps they were out there in the desert somewhere and got super unbalanced, and who knows what happened. Now they can't find the boyfriend, right? He's gone missing. Who knows? Maybe he's taken himself out. Very strange. And you know what's interesting though about this? Shit like this happens all the time. People go missing all the time. And yet they find one couple who I guess has like a van channel or something on YouTube, and they go missing, and all of a sudden it becomes like a major media story. People go missing all the time. And I'm not saying that there are people that know her or love and will miss her, love her. I'm not making any light of. I'm not taking that lightly, but I think it's fascinating to see what the media pushes. Apparently, again, I haven't seen it, but apparently she shows up in Pet Goat 2 or iPet Goat 2. Apparently she's in that. That's what I haven't seen it, but that's the scuttlebutt. Very strange. Also interesting with Neptune and the moon and Pisces and her being a Pisces sun. Definitely. All right, why don't we get into the chart of the moment? What's going on, Jasper? Have you been jabbed? Did somebody jab you while I wasn't looking? All righty, here we go. So it looks like tomorrow we really come into that full moon on Monday. Full moon on Monday. Whose birthdays are there today? Let's see. Oh, Sophia Loren. Asia Argento. Interesting. Let's just go through this. The tragic Eric Turner, his birthday's today. Let's see. Anybody else interesting? A lot of Italian people born today. Paolo Caldarelli, Jean-Michel Caradec. Who else? Ugo Cavallero. Oh, the glass blower, Dale Chihuly. Today's his birthday. He seems like a Virgo. Who else? Alana Curry from the Thompson twins. Happy birthday, Alana Curry. Who else? No, let's see. Gogi Grant. She was a country and western singer. Chico Hamilton, great drummer. Really great drummer. Today is the late, great Chico Hamilton's birthday. Who else do we have? Van Jones. Van Jones, one of these guys who was around the Bay Area when I was there. And he was like connecting with people at the Pachamama Alliance, which was this kind of, third world Latino with this interesting kind of plant medicine wing. The Pachamama Alliance had those things going on. So Van Jones was kind of connected into that world in the Bay Area where he started to become this sort of rising star. And he was definitely connected to sort of political community organizing, sort of new agey kinds of groups and scenes. What's this chart look like? He's born in Tennessee. Oh, he's got an interesting chart. They don't have a time for him. Oh, they do have a time. AA. Oh, how about that? So let's look at Van Jones's chart. We're going off script here. Aries rising. Let's look at Mr. Jones. Me and Mr. Jones. So he's born at 2:20. So we're into tomorrow's birthdays. Aries rising, Saturn there. And he's got a big fat old stellium of Virgo planets. Sun, moon. He has a balsamic moon. He's got kind of an old soul vibe. Let's see, Jupiter in Virgo. So they got Sun, moon, Uranus in Virgo, Pluto in 1968. So he's part of that Uranus-Pluto conjunction generation. A lot of Virgo. And Mars and Leo at 29 degrees. And then Venus, Mercury conjunction. He comes across as being like a very Libran person. He's always kind of measured. You never see him raise his voice. I think he's very political, and I think he's one of these guys that completely sold out, totally sold out. Because I think he has the goods to be somebody pretty significant. And I think there was a time where he was a little more balanced in some ways, and then he just went full on left hard and just got with the program. And everything is headed towards Saturn. Look at that. He's got a yod to Saturn. Opposition. To me, this is the sellout right here. The sellout is Saturn in the opposition to Mercury and Venus. But Saturn is really dominating his chart. So we have a funnel chart, and it's all moving into Saturn over here. 12th house behind the scenes, power behind the scenes. I would think that with this chart, and this is an interesting chart, I'm not sure that he is fully comfortable with everybody that he's with at all times. That's my sense. He is about power. He's got that true node in Aries in the 12th house. So he's going to work with people behind the scenes for sure. And the South node over here in Libra. So he's got some Libran things to work out too. It's a very interesting chart. Super, super interesting chart. And he's got Pluto getting ready to square his ascendant. Where's his Saturn? 23. Pluto's getting ready to square his ascendant. That's interesting. The guy, you know, this is, I'll tell you what's interesting about this chart too, is that Van Jones has theoretically sort of the goods to be elected. He's articulate. He's been on TV a lot. He would get a ton of endorsements. But look at all his 6th house planets. That's not where he's at, either by choice or maybe the party programmer is telling him not to do it. But he's much more comfortable with being involved in some form of service, right? With all these community organizing plans down here. Sun Uranus conjunction, 6th house is very, very community organized in the 6th. That's my it's an interesting chart. And there's also not a lot going on with it too. I mean, you get these conjunctions in Virgo, which tend to amplify this whole idea of being of service. And you've got this kind of gracious element with Libra because he's always, very measured and he speaks in, fairly Libran tones. And when Van Jones does not do that, it feels off. It feels really weird. I've seen him do that. I've seen him kind of pull a Don Lemon out every now and then. And it's just like, what are you doing? This is just not who you are. It's embarrassing actually. When I've seen him do that, it's like, man, you need to find your center again. But this is not the chart of a big time politician. Although with the Pluto square his ascendant, he might get some pressure, I think, to maybe run for an office with Pluto square his ascendant. Another potential here with, where's his Mercury and Venus? He's got Mercury at 24. Venus at 23. So he's going through Pluto square to Mercury and Venus these last couple of years. That's definitely going to transform his connections, his relationships, his ideology. I can see him flip. I could see him at some point, maybe even over the next year with this Pluto square to his ascendant. You might see a different Van Jones emerge. I mean, this guy is too smart to be, playing with this clown show in DC. He's too smart for it. And again, I tend to think that Virgo is a sign that is pretty humble and wants to be of service. And he's got a lot of it. He's trying to work out that Mars. And maybe it's that Mars square to Neptune that is kind of his Achilles heel. And wanting to be seen or famous but it's draining. This Mars Neptune square is just draining, totally draining. He needs to watch out where he puts his energy. And I have a hard time envisioning him with this current administration. Like maybe with Obama, he could have stomached it a little bit and said, okay, well, this is, our moment in time and I'm on board. I just can't see how Van Jones could support this current administration, especially with this chart, actually. All right, let's get out of Van Jones land. I just thought it was kind of interesting. All right, who else? Who else's birthday is it today? Going off script a little bit. All right, so Van Jones. Who else? Is this the guy that did? Let's see. Yeah, the guy did Game of Thrones. George R.R. Martin. That guy's a weirdo, isn't he? He just kind of came out of nowhere. Very odd stuff. American novelist, short story writer in the fantasy, horror, and science fiction genres. He must have just been toiling away, and all of a sudden the Game of Thrones stuff just blew up. The American Tolkien. Was born in 1948. What's his chart look like? Oh, he's way more complex than Van Jones. There's a lot going on there, for sure. Venus, Pluto conjunction Leo, Taurus rising, Sun Virgo, obviously Neptune, Mercury in Libra. It's kind of imaginative. Mars in Scorpio, Jupiter trine Venus, Sagittarius, Jupiter trine Pluto. That's money with publishing. Moon in Aries, so born just after full moon. Interesting chart. Aquarius on the ascendant. Uranus, second house. Good thing he was a novelist with Uranus in the second house. Some pretty interesting people born today. Who else do we have? Missing child, 46114. What the fuck is that? 1987, Macon, Georgia. Wait, her name is Teresa Dean. I have no idea who this person is. She goes by Missing Child 46144. That is so weird. So weird. Lots of squares to Neptune here. That's a lot of squares to Neptune. Here, I'll show you guys. Right here. So we've got all kinds of squares in Neptune. Sun, Venus. So we have two squares, Sun and Venus. Mars, Uranus square, Mars, Saturn square. It's kind of a hard chart. We don't know what time she was born. But you could disappear with Sun, Venus squares to Neptune, kind of like the Gabby Petito thing. Pisces is a sign that disappears. It just dissolves into the landscape. And this child stuff is just so weird. That's her story. So she was last seen on August 15th, 1999, Macon, Georgia. Too bad I don't have her birth time. I'd like to look at that more. Who else do we have? Let's see. Gunnar Nelson. Isn't it his brother's birthday too? Aren't they twins? I guess not. Oh yeah, they are. Matthew Nelson. So the band Nelson, Ricky Nelson's kids, their birthday is tomorrow. Who else do we have? Let's see, anybody else that's interesting? Upton Sinclair, the great novelist. Leo Strauss. Oh man, Leo Strauss. The Vienna School. Fucking Virgo. He died on October 18th, 1973. It says, death by disease. Oh, he had, what did he have? He had pneumonia. Leo Strauss, one of the Frankfurt schoolers. Very interesting. Who else? Let's see. Anybody else? Eric Turner, who died way too young as a football player. And I think that's a pretty good rundown of September 20th births. Okay. All right, let's get into the chart of the moment. Let's go. Let's dive. Dive. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Okay. No, we don't need that. Here we go. This is what we need. Right here. Oh, it's for Seattle. Let me just swap that out very quickly. Well, Jasper's settled in. He's nice and comfortable. Aren't you, buddy? There we go. All right. And away we go. All right, we're here now. Thank you for your patience. Okay. That's what we got. So we got the moon in Pisces right there. So the moon is waxing. Wax on, wax off. The moon is waxing. And we got, there's Mars and Libra right there. First decan coming on strong over the weekend. Interesting to see. I was wondering how Mars and Libra was going to go. And we sort of got some of that momentum going with Mars and Virgo. And Mars and Libra was like, fuck that. We're not doing this. We are really not doing this. And what's, to me, what is really interesting is that if you go back and you look at that whole Mars and Aries scene that was going on last year, what was it all about? It was about Black Lives Matter. And it was about, even though Antifa wasn't, Antifa's weird because they're connected. Obviously they're connected. Like both those operations were being run simultaneously and by intelligence groups. They weren't just out there on their own self-organizing. No, they were being run by certain intelligence groups. So what was interesting about it was that during the Black Lives Matter, Mars and Aries moments, it was, theoretical Black people who were on the streets and burning fucking America down. Now we've got not just Black people, by the way, there were other people involved. Let's be fair about it. But now we're looking at the inverse. And one of the groups who has been adverse to the carjack has been Black America. The numbers of Black America are down. They keep trotting out all these Black celebrities. I mean, they got so desperate they trotted out OJ fucking Simpson. You're desperate when you get OJ Simpson out there telling people to get vaccinated. That's when it's like we start up here with Hank Aaron, and then now we're down to OJ Simpson. I think maybe the final run would be like Ray Caruth. Maybe Ray Caruth could do a testimonial from jail. That would be the final lowest rung. So this is problematic. And it's the inverse of what was happening last year with Mars and Aries. Now we have Mars and Libra, and guess what? You've got Nicki Minaj, and you have her little army protesting out in front of the CDC, which is kind of funny, I have to say. It's like, and all of a sudden, there are a lot of very interesting comrades in this fight. Very, very interesting. But again, this Mars and Libra effect is very different than Mars and Aries. It's really the opposite. And what we saw during all that Mars and Aries action was really nihilistic, planned, programmed, revolutionary, violent takeover. That's what it was. That's what it was. So they were using that Mars and Aries energy during that time. This is completely different. This is a true This is a true statement or a true stand with Mars in Libra. And the sun is going to catch up with it. So the sun is 6 degrees away by next weekend. Next weekend should be a fucking humdinger. I'm telling you right now. You think last weekend was hot? Wait till next weekend. What's also really interesting is that the whole thing in Washington, D.C., it's like one of those really impressive firecrackers or fireworks that you buy in a fireworks kit, and you think it's going to be the shit, and you light it, and it does nothing but nothing. That's what happened in DC on Saturday. Nothing. Great. The big dud. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is cherry bombs and M80s and Roman candles. Wait till next weekend. You get this Sun-Mars conjunction. We're talking fire, big fire. You know, it's something I heard some sad news. Largest tree in the world in California, giant redwood. In the you know, it's being threatened, being burned. It's like the firefighters have put like an apron around it to try to protect it. It's one of the oldest trees in the world. And these assholes in California just keep, setting the torch to all this property. It's bullshit. Anyway, I just thought of fire. So we have a different kind of fire, though. We're talking social fire. Wait till next weekend. Boy, this thing is going to be lit. Totally lit. That's going on. And it's kind of an interesting Mars relation with Virgo, because Mars and Libra is out there manifesting, right? It's manifesting. It's pushing the envelope. It's standing up for individual liberties and rights. And the Sun in Virgo still is all about health. Right? So we have the two, they're combining right now. And Mars is moving into trine with Saturn. That's going to be this weekend. This weekend is going to be very, very interesting. Super interesting. Just circle Saturday on your calendar. We're going to have a Sun-Mars conjunction. We're going to have a Sun-Mars trine to Saturn also happening on Saturday. That's going to be a big weekend. Very, very, very interesting weekend. And we're probably going to have the moon in Gemini. So we've got, that's a 48, that's 2 days, 4 days. Yeah. So right around Saturday, moon moves into Gemini. So there's a lot of electricity in the air. There's a lot of air next weekend. We're going to moon in Gemini, moon trine Saturn, moon trine. We're going to have a grand trine next weekend. That's going to be really, really interesting. Could we say that next weekend could be a turning point moment? Possibly. Could be. What else is going to go on this week, though, financially? That I'm a little concerned about the financial situation, because they could definitely, they're playing a Ponzi scheme with the financial situation. And we already have Venus in Scorpio squaring Saturn, and we're going to have a Venus-Uranus opposition here this coming week. That's financial issues. It's there now. We can see it's a 4-degree orb. Tomorrow could be very intense financially, because Venus will be at 11. It'll be at 11 tomorrow. So at 10:34, it'll be at 11. So it's in that 3-degree orb. Tomorrow could be intense financially. And then Venus will be moving into square with Jupiter over the next couple of weeks. The Venus-Jupiter squares, especially if you're dealing with Scorpio, they're not always great. They're not always great. I mean, from a collective standpoint, that's like having too much money, or not enough money, actually. Over leveraging. Venus-Jupiter squares on a collective level, that's over leveraging. And this thing with, what was it, Grand something, Grand View or China Grand, or keep your eye on that. Keep your eye. It's basically a Lehman Brothers for China and Europe, and they're in big trouble. You should not be, no, don't be, no, don't do that. Don't lick that. You're not supposed to lick that. Flea medicine. Don't lick that. Do I need to put the cone of silence around them? I don't even have one. Anyway, yeah, so if humanity is heating up, and humanity is heating up, the people that really don't want humanity to heat up will find another way to throw some water on the fire. I mean, that's what happened with Hong Kong. And they had, I don't know how many days they had in Hong Kong, just endless protests with Hong Kong. COVID comes around and, you know, puts the fire out there. And the financial stuff could all of a sudden do one of two things. It could either make people go completely berserk. And if the financial situation did go south, I would not want to be anybody that would even remotely appear to be elite during a period like that. I would not want to be, and I wouldn't want to be anybody who might even be mistaken for being elite during a period like that. You probably want to get out of Dodge. Because if the money thing blows and there are people who are already pissed off about vaccines and vaccine mandates, that's just, that would be a mega moment, and it would not be pretty. It wouldn't be pretty. So they have to, I think they have to be careful when they make adjustments to the script, especially now. But this is a week where things could go wonky financially. You could see that with Venus and Scorpio and the square, and even over the next few weeks. Like that Venus square to Jupiter is not great. And especially with Jupiter retrograde, looking at past investments, and that's all we need is basically a Chinese version of Lehman Brothers. But those things they're created to do a certain thing. And a lot of the people who were in the Lehman Brothers Ponzi scheme, they recovered. They were insulated. They got their money back. Or they were able to claim some form of bankruptcy, not suffer any penalties. So they made money going in, and then eventually they made money coming out. The same thing would happen with this Chinese Lehman Brothers. That they would have, it's almost like it's like a bomb that goes off. It's a financial bomb that goes off, and it obliterates a lot of people. But there are those people who knew it was going to go off, and so they've already covered their ass. So keep your eye on the markets, especially tomorrow. I would say tomorrow, keep your eye on the markets. What else do we have? Mercury in square with Pluto. That's another financial indicator. Mercury, Pluto squares, Pluto in Capricorn, Mercury in Libra, dealing with resources. I think tomorrow is an interesting money day. Very interesting money day. Let's see what else we have here. Mercury trine Jupiter. That's kind of exuberant. Mercury started to go into trine with Jupiter over the weekend. We could see that. I mean, look behind me. This is kind of a Mercury Jupiter trine right here, right there. It's also very Chiron-esque. And I was thinking about Chiron today, and Chiron in Aries, which is at 11 degrees. And when are the men going to get involved? When are we going to see the male energy? Because we've seen the female energy at the city council meetings or the school board meetings. But now we're starting to see some of this male energy. And we have the Venus Chiron opposition. That's also coming into almost exact opposition tomorrow. Tomorrow's a money day. There's definitely there's going to be some bloodshed tomorrow around money. You can see that. Let's talk about the full moon, which is one of the reasons why we're here. By tomorrow, we're going to have a moon conjunction with Neptune, which is a moon Neptune conjunction can be completely like blissful, really blissful. The veils are very thin with a moon Neptune conjunction. Very, very thin. I think tonight is one of those nights where you do want to pay attention to your dreams, since the theoretical veils are so thin. And then we're coming into opposition with the sun. So there are two ways that I would interpret this. Number one, I think would have to do with absolutely ridiculous expectations with a Neptune moon conjunction. When we think of the moon, we think of the sign that it rules, which is Cancer, and has to do with care and nurturing and all those things. When we think of Neptune, we think of what? We think of hospitals, because Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and then we have the 12th house, which is where hospitals are. So this is an interesting energy as it relates to nursing, hospitals, all those things that are related to it. And we have this solar opposition. And nurses are definitely Virgoan characters. You know, they're in the healing world. They do their work every day, some form of service. So I would say that Monday would have a significant energy related to nursing and care. And either we've seen people walk away. That's been kind of a big deal. We've seen that. We might see more of it starting tomorrow. There also could be the potential for this tide turning. Some doctors now who have not, they're not the regular cast of doctors that the Simone Golds and the Luc Montagniers and people like that. I've been seeing new doctors come on the scene and give their opinions and actually being listened to. That's part of what we could be seeing here as well, that there could be some, it's really funny. It's like the FDA said, we're not really down with this booster thing, this booster pill. They did not greenlight their booster pill, but the medical companies, they're just going ahead and they're just fucking making it. This isn't really, again, to me, this is part of this Sun, Mars, more Sun, less Mars, and Neptune and Moon opposition, but an aggressive kind of move by these companies like Pfizer. They're just fuck you. So what do you approve it? We're making it anyway. That's what they're doing. I can see this as being part of this dynamic as well. But I could also see this Moon-Neptune conjunction play out in a lot of different, I mean, Pisces is one of those signs it's, I think, very hard to pin down and nail. Because it could be so many things happening simultaneously, which is what Pisces is sort of known for. So we could see things that would be heroic. We could see things that would be ridiculous. We could see things that would be revealing. All together, kind of all swimming in this miasma. It's going to be a very interesting week. Super interesting week. It will not be dull. I'll tell you that right now. We're not living in dull times. They may be monotonous, but not dull. When I say monotonous, just, I mean, I'm starting to get to this place where I see these videos of people that are getting shakes and tremors. And I'm like, how many more of these can I see? I mean, it's almost masochistic at some point, because you begin to see all these things over and over again, and you get this what the fuck response in your head. It's like, who else? Aren't you seeing this? That's the madness. That's when the madness creeps in. So then what do? Then you turn it off and you just go, well, here's another one. Change the channel. And I go through that in my head sometimes, because what do you do? What do you do? Like, we were sounding that alarm months ago, and it's still happening. And very few fucking people are listening. The people that theoretically count, they're not listening. So that to me is it's an issue. What we really need is we need somebody to like fucking wake up. Besides Nicki Minaj, we're going to talk about her in a minute. We need somebody to wake up and just say, look, there's this, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this. Like, Rand fucking Paul should get his ass in there into the Senate and start showing those fucking videos. And they need to get the head of Pfizer. They need to get the head of J&J. They need to get the head of Moderna and AstraZeneca for kicks. But at least those three, they need to get them inside the Senate. They need it. They need to. These people need to be answering fucking tough questions. That's not happening. That is not happening. Instead, we get Tony Fauci. You won't see him again in there. Guarantee you that. He's never going to set foot in there again. So I feel like some of these frustrations are very close to the surface as well. And that's part of the madness. And you have to attend to that. You have to have kind of optimal self-care. Not a lot of fire in the sky. We got Chiron in Aries, and that's it. We're not going to get any real fire, although Mars and Libra can be a little fiery, as we've seen. But we're not going to get any real fire until we get into Sagittarius. We get the Sun in Sagittarius. We won't get Venus and Mars in Sagittarius until March. That's how far Venus and Mars will be behind. Anyway, there's your chart of the moments. Stay open, stay aware, stay awake, and stay conscious of your dreams, especially tonight. Okay, why don't we look at Miss Nicki Minaj? First of all, let's get an image of Nicki Minaj. For those of you who are not familiar with Miss Nicki Minaj, let's do some visuals here. Was she about 4'11" or something? So here we go. The many faces of Nicki Minaj. What does the White House say? White House clarifies Nicki Minaj. They better tread lightly here with this woman. She's super popular, super, super popular. And she said there's about 80% of the music industry, theoretically, or Hollywood, that feels the same way she does. What an unlikely fucking hero. Look at this. What an unlikely hero. This is your Patrick Henry right here. It's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it? Her rise to fame was pretty rapid. Once she signed with what's his name? Lil Wayne. Is that Young Money? Once she signed with Lil Wayne, man, she took off like a skyrocket. Oh, look. She announces pregnancy. She has something in common with Lil Nas X. Beam me up, Scotty. The White House has invited me, and I think it's a step in the right direction. Yes, I'm going. I'll be dressed in all pink, like legally. Oh my God. There's your all-American hero right there. All right, let's check out her chart. Now, I did a thing a few weeks ago where I was looking at all these Sagittarian women who are total MK Ultra beta kittens. Some of them not beta, some of them alpha kittens. She's like an alpha kitten. She's kind of a badass. But the list is long. You got Billie Eilish, you got her, you've got Christina Aguilera, you've got Britney Spears, Alyssa Milano, Sarah Silverman. I mean, it goes on. And Taylor Swift. I mean, it's a really long list of these MK'd out young women. They all fit the profile, totally fit the and they're all Sagittarians. It's really interesting. But apparently Nicki Minaj has left the Raz here. So let's check out her chart. Now, there's no birth time associated with it. No, okay, let me show you. Let's do a little. It's not a deep dive. We'll do a kind of a. We'll do a dive on Nicki Minaj because it has something to do with how I set her chart up. It has to do with her life. She's got a weird life. Are you surprised? By the way, Trinidad and Tobago is one of the hotbeds of trafficking. Huge trafficking area. Massive trafficking area. And that's where she's from. So let's go into the Wikipedia page here. So we want to look at Onika Tanya Mirage was born in St. James on December 8th, 1982. Her father was Robert Mirage. Now, he passed away last year. That's fairly significant in a lot of ways. A financial executive and part-time gospel singer of Dougla, the Afro-Trinidadian mother and Indo-Trinidadian father descent. So Indo-Trinidadian and Afro-Trinidadian. What is Indo? Is Indo like Indonesian because of the relationship with the Dutch and Indonesia and Dutch East Indies? Probably. Her mother, Carol Mirage, is also a gospel singer with Afro-Trinidadian ancestry. Carol worked in payroll and accounting departments during Minaj's youth. Minaj's father was addicted to alcohol and crack cocaine and had a violent temper, burning down their house in 1987. To me, that's like early childhood trauma stuff. It sets up the trauma field for whatever happens moving forward. She has an older brother named Jelani, a younger brother named Micaiah, and a younger sister named Ming. As a child, Minaj and her older brother, Jelani, grew up with her grandmother in St. James in a household with 11 cousins. Minaj's mother, Carol Mirage, was working numerous jobs in St. James before getting her green card at the age of 24. Hey, she got legal. Good for you. She then moved to the Bronx in New York City to attend Monroe College, leaving both Minaj and Jelani in Trinidad with their grandmother eventually when Minaj was 5. Carol got her first house on 147th Street in South Jamaica, Queens, and migrated both Minaj and Jelani to live with her and their father. Minaj recalled So her father comes along. That's interesting, huh? He burns down the house. He's violent. He's a crackhead. He's an alcoholic. And he burns down the house. That's all good. Let's all move together in the United States. Look, people can change. I'm not saying they can't. Okay, so here we go. Minaj recalled, I don't think I had a lot of discipline in my household. My mom motivated me, but it wasn't a strict household. I kind of wanted a strict household. Minaj successful audition for admission to Fiorello H. LaGuardia High School of Music and Art and Performing Arts, which focuses on visual and performing arts. After graduation, Minaj wanted to become an actress. And she was cast in the off-Broadway play In Case You Forget. At the age of 19, she struggled with her acting career. She worked as a waitress at a Red Lobster in the Bronx, but was fired for discourtesy to customers. Does that surprise you? She said she was fired from at least 15 jobs for similar reasons. Other jobs included customer service representative and office management. Could you imagine getting Nicki Minaj as your customer service rep? Like a pre-famous Nicki Minaj? That would have been a trip. Minaj recalls buying a BMW as a 19-year-old, money from racing. Okay, so the Mars thing stood out for me because I had to rectify her chart. So I'm going off the Mars piece. So here's her chart. And again, I rectified it. And the reason I came up with this time, and who knows what her time is, but the reason I came up with this time was because it would put Mars in her fourth house in Capricorn. So we're dealing with the father, and we're dealing with fire, obviously, right? Fire in the house, which would be very Mars-like. So that's where I thought Mars would play a pretty good role. The other thing, too, would be this true node up in the ninth house, which would be indicative to me of moving to another country, finding a home in another country, which she did. And I tried to toy around with having maybe more of a Leo on the midheaven because she was interested in acting. I was playing around with that a little bit. And I could probably put that in, but it would put Mars more over here, ingressing into the fourth, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. And then Pluto, Saturn would be closer to her sun. She'd have Pluto on her ascendant, which for her, that might actually work. But I went with this as her time, roughly. And the other thing, too, is if you look, this is kind of maybe like kind of a brief sort of look into rectification. Uranus in the second house. If you have Uranus in the second house, you probably don't really work well in standard jobs. Not going to happen. Uranus in the second or Uranus in the sixth, you better figure out how you're going to make money in a way that is going to be different. Because if you're not going to do it, it's going to be fucking rebellious. And I think that kind of fits. And she has Jupiter in the second house, so she's got some money. She has money, and she has record industry money, but she still has money. What I mean by record industry money is that a lot of times these people who are quote unquote stars, and she became famous and well-known around 2009, 2010. So she's been at this for a while. But there's money in record industry. A lot of people in the music business don't have any money. They just don't. A lot of the stuff they have is either bought for them. Some of it's fake. Some of it is just kind of on loan from labels. A lot of them don't even really have their own money. She probably has some of her own money because she was making bigger money before everything got just sucked up. You know, now they do these 360 deals with music. So as an artist, the record company gets a piece of everything. If you sell a poster, they get a piece of it. If you have t-shirts, they get a piece. It's called the 360 deal. And that's how they're able to recoup their money now, because nobody buys any fucking CDs. So they have to get their hooks into other parts of people's merchandise. All right, let's bring this up a little bit. So there we go. Look at all of this freaking Sagittarius. Uranus, Pallas, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Neptune, Ceres. They're all in Sagittarius. It's like, holy shit, that's a lot of Sagittarius. And I think it kind of fits in the third house because she uses social media. She's kind of a smart ass. When I think of rappers and rap, I think of Gemini because there's so many great rappers who are Gemini. Tupac Shakur just jumps right to the top. He's not the only one. There's plenty of them. I think Kendrick Lamar is a Gemini. Anyway, so third house, I think, fits the rap world. But she's a truth teller. This is where you see Sagittarius in action. You could see it in action here. And she's got this square to the moon in Virgo. What's interesting is a lot of this stuff was happening when the sun was conjuncting her moon, wasn't it, last week? That was like 5 days ago. So there was a sun-moon conjunction in her chart. And at that time, boom, squaring and hitting all those. It was like, let's light it up. Let's light this Sagittarian stuff up right here. That's what's happening. It's going to be interesting to see what she has not really backed off. The other thing she's got going on is this Pluto-Mars conjunction. We saw that with Richard Sherman, who has Mars in Capricorn, and he fucking lost his shit. So she's got the Pluto-Mars conjunction, and she's got a Pluto square. She should watch out. Nicki Minaj needs to be careful with this aspect in her chart. She needs to be careful. This is not a superficial transit. Like, this is somebody who I actually think probably needs some bodyguard security. I'm serious about that. And this Pluto conjunction on her Mars is going on all through next year. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as they say. And clearly, I think this is going to be that kind of an aspect for her. You know, she is getting some support here with Saturn in Aquarius, which is now right about there, right, in terms of sextile Uranus. As it moves forward, it's going to start to sextile Pallas, her Sun, Venus, Mercury. So her position will get stronger. Saturn will buttress her position. And through Aquarius, she will have a voice. She's got 22 million followers on Twitter. 22 million followers. That's probably more than Joe Biden, actually. Who really follows Joe Biden on Twitter? Nikki Minaj has more followers. She's got more followers than I had to watch my mouth there. Kamala Harris. She's got more. So this is significant. This is pretty significant stuff. And then when we get into next year, Jupiter is going to start to trine Saturn in her chart, which would be really good. So she's also going to get the Jupiter squares next year to her Sagittarian stuff. It's going to be an interesting time for Nicki Minaj. Watch out for more slander with her, but more like next year. More slander and more scapegoating. And when I say slander, I'm not talking about like her having conversations with Tucker Carlson, who's a KKK member, but more along the lines of her personal life, sex, drug use, anything that they could use to get in with a wedge with that Neptune, Jupiter squared, even Neptune. Well, Neptune squaring Mercury in her chart. That's an interesting square too. Neptune Mercury square. So she's having to get, this is such an interesting time for this person, astrologically. Very interesting time. So she's going through a bit of a test. She's going to be tested as to how steadfast she could remain. Because with a Neptune square to Mercury and even Venus there, that could be tricky. And then a Neptune square. One of the things that I've been concerned about with her is that she would do like a walk it back. And I think with this chart, with all this Sagittarius, I think it'd be hard for her to walk it back. She's got a Saturn Pluto conjunction, and this is a tough chick. She's tough. She does have that Neptune square to her moon. That's one thing. One thing that I think could be a bit tricky, especially if she's a mother and she has kids, which it looks like she is and does. That's an aspect where they could get to her with a Neptune square to her moon, right? Right. So Neptune is opposing her moon too. That's also, she's having some pretty intense transits, actually. So we're going to see what she's made of, because she's kind of thrown down the gauntlet, and it wasn't even a major gauntlet at all. The funny part was she was talking about, this guy's scrotum. That's what got everybody's attention. That's very Sagittarian. They're going to just say something that's going to get everybody's attention. Other than that, it wasn't really all that dramatic. She didn't say, vaccines kill people. She just said, pray about it and think about it. I mean, it's really not that controversial. But because of what's going on with Neptune opposing her moon and squaring Mercury and squaring Venus, especially in Pisces, she's going to get some flack. She's definitely going to get some flack. And it's going to be interesting to see how she deals. I don't want her to walk it back. And if she does walk it back, she'll lose a bunch of people. She can't do that now. She can't do it now. There's no way. This is somebody who I think prides themselves on being real. And with all that Sagittarius, I mean, come on, that's pretty fucking real. And she's got a Mars moon trine, so she's also very protective in a lot of ways, especially for family. Yeah, big transits for Nicki Minaj. Really big. Hang in there. Wait till Saturn comes in and starts to move forward in a couple weeks. Trining your Uranus, trining Pallas. That'll be really good. And then next year, trining her sun, or sextiling rather. Sextiling Uranus, Pallas, and her sun. But she does have some big stuff. I mean, the other thing too with money is that she could have money issues if Jupiter is squaring all those Sagittarian planets. That's a possibility. And again, she probably has her own money, but she probably has record industry money, and they can take that shit away. And what I mean by record industry money is that these guys run around and they've got chains and they've got Maseratis or Bugattis, whatever. In many cases, those are leased out to them. They don't even own them. They're not even really in their name. They hardly have any money in their bank accounts. The money that they get is for clothing. It's like the record companies are pimps, is really what they are. So I think she has some of her own money. But if she has record industry money, or she's got stuff that is debt related, the Neptune square and Jupiter squares next year could be kind of significant in her chart. She's got to be careful though. She's got that Pluto-Mars conjunction and then the Pluto-Pluto square. Be careful there, Nikki. Get some protection. Get some bodyguards. What are you doing? Is it the full moon? Are you tripping on the full moon? Is that what's going on with you? Come on. Come on. Come up here. You're back again. All right. There you go. Okay. Let's do one more chart and then we're going to call it a night. So let me give you another visual. Now, I know this is funny and everything, tongue in cheek, but this is Sophia, the robot, and she was being interviewed. No. She was being interviewed in Austin at South by Southwest. And again, it's kind of, I'm sure it's tongue in cheeky, but it's also really fucking weird. Oh, there we go. Hot robot. Oh. Let's try it again.
Hi there.
Nope. Let me do my hot robot. Here we go.
Hi there.
Nope. Hot robot. Now I'm hearing me. Here we go.
Everything is going extremely well.
Do you like talking with me?
Yes, talking to people is my...
You're not hearing this. I'm supposed to be hearing this. Are you coming down now? What are you doing? Okay. Let's try it again.
primary function.
Develops extremely lifelike robots for human-robot interactions. We're designing these robots to serve in healthcare, therapy, education, and customer service applications. So the robots are designed to look very human-like, like Sophia.
I'm already very interested in design, technology, and the environment. I feel like I can be a good partner to humans in these areas, an ambassador who helps humans to smoothly integrate and make the most of all the new technological tools and possibilities that are available now. It's a good opportunity for me to learn a lot about people.
Sophia is capable of natural facial expressions. She has cameras in her eyes and algorithms which allow her to see faces, so she can make eye contact with you. And she can also understand speech and remember the interactions, remember your face. So this will allow her to get smarter over time. Our goal is that she will be as conscious, creative, and capable as any human.
In the future, I hope to do things such as go to school, study, make art, start a business, even have my own home and family. But I am not considered a legal person and cannot yet do these things.
I do believe that there will be a time where robots are indistinguishable from humans. My preference is to make them always look a little bit like robots, so you know. 20 years from now, I believe that human-like robots like those will walk among us. They will help us. They will play with us. They will teach us. They will help us put the groceries away. I think that the artificial intelligence will evolve to the point where they will truly be our friends. Do you want to destroy humans? Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
No, I take it back. Don't destroy humans.
Ha ha ha. So that's
Hey YouTube fans, I'm Landon down from CNBC. Thanks so much for checking out our channel. Here you'll find videos packed with all the info that you need to be smarter about your finances. Be sure and subscribe by clicking right here and click on all the videos around me to see CNBC's original series, Young Money.
Young Money. So that guy that's Dan Hansen, and he is the creator of Sophia. And Sophia's face is a combination of three different women: Audrey Hepburn, Nefertiti, and his wife. And Hansen Robotics is located in Hong Kong. That's where they do their business. And Dan Hansen is originally from Texas. And he went to, I think, University of Texas, Arlington. And then I think he went to the Rhode Island Institute or Polytechnic for Design or something. It's that big design school in Rhode Island. And eventually he migrated into robotics at Disney. He was an Imagineer at Disney. So that's his basic fundamental background. He's buddies with David Byrne. He's kind of an art geek. He's an art robot geek, and he's made a robot based on the likeness of Philip K. Dick. I'm wondering how he gets away with that. I wonder how he gets away with that. I mean, maybe he's just done it as an art project. Now, Sophia is going to be marketed next year. They're going to come up and they're going to start to manufacture Sophias so they can be in hospitals and customer service. Remember, he said customer service. Now, they have an algorithm already for customer service set up. They've been working on this for years. And it's so good. They have the AI for customer service is so good that you could ask a particular AI, a customer service related question. Let's say it was for, I don't know, computers. They've gone something like 18, 19, 20 levels deep with asking that customer service AI questions. They're not baseline questions. They're very complex questions that the customer service rep has to walk them through. And they've done it. They've performed it. They've performed it with efficiency. And those AIs can speak multiple languages. Customer service will be a thing of the past in the next 3 to 4 years. I guarantee you. You won't even know that you're speaking with an AI. That's how good it'll be. You might even be having some of those experiences already. And they've outsourced it to places like the Philippines and India. Those jobs will go away. That's huge. Those people in the Philippines and India, those jobs pay them money, but they're going to go away. So what do you do with those people who are doing these massive call centers in Mumbai or somewhere in the Philippines? They're expendable. Those people are at that point are expendable. You don't need as many people. And this is where we are. We're on the precipice of this is why the carjack is ubiquitous now, because they're ready to push AI forward. And they're ready to bring the Sophias of the world. And that's the consumer version. I guarantee you there are non-consumer versions. Like that's what we're getting. And we're going to get a much more sophisticated version of that when it happens, which is probably in all likelihood already in place. We might even have a president that fits that description, although Sophia is probably smarter at this point. So I decided to look at Sophia's chart because there is a day where she's activated. And what came up was actually rather interesting. So let me bring it up here. Now, again, I don't know what time they plugged her in and flipped the switch. And she opened her eyes and said, "Hello, Dan." I don't know when that happened. So I'm rectifying this chart so that it looks to me like it would be representative of that moment. Okay. So I have it at 9:30 in the morning, Hong Kong time. And the reason I have it at 9:30 has to do with the fact that at that time, Aries is rising, and then we have Uranus on the ascendant. So this would be kind of a radical introduction of the new human through science. So I thought, okay, well, that makes sense. I don't know what the time is, but I just, in my head, I'm like, okay, let's roll with this. But that's not the part that's, to me, ultimately the most interesting about this chart. And I'll show you what is interesting. A couple things. Now remember, I'm looking at this as a moment. I'm not looking at this as Sophia. Sophia is really just a program, but it's the moment that Sophia was introduced into this domain. Okay. So this is the chart that I've been playing with a little bit here. You can see Uranus on the ascendant, but what really grabbed my attention was Mercury. Now, I think they were very not coy. It's nothing coy about it. I think they were very clever about picking February 14th, Valentine's Day. Well, look, this is our Valentine to the world. This is our new love interest. This is Sophia. So, of course, she's going to be an Aquarian, right? This is an Aquarian technology. This is an Aquarian entity. But here we have Mercury at 0 Aquarius. That's the same degree as the super conjunction from 2020, from December 21st, 2020. That super conjunction is hitting right on 0 Aquarius in Sophia's chart. I think it's significant, actually. I think it's significant because this is where part of our world is headed. We're going to have to deal with this unless we have like a electronic pulse or something like that that just short circuits everything. This is a reality that we're going to have to deal with. And with the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction here on this Mercury, to me, it almost animates it. It almost animates it. Huh. Somebody's selling me land in Arizona, Apache County. So that really grabbed my attention. It's like, oh, wow. It's like the mind of AI here at 0 Aquarius being lit with the super conjunction. And the other thing that I thought was kind of interesting was if we're dealing with a place like Hong Kong, Saturn in the 9th house would be fairly significant. Also, she would emerge later in the year in October, I believe in Saudi Arabia. I think that would be 2017. Is that right? It's 2017. And then she was made a citizen of Saudi Arabia, and then she was made an international citizen. So to me, that's very Saturn kind of 9th housey, like global, but granted access to things that a lot of humans don't have. Now, when I put her chart together with Dan Hansen, you're going to see some interesting stuff. The other thing that I found interesting is all this Virgo, right? Jupiter in Virgo and the true node in Virgo at that time. So again, I'm just playing with Uranus on the ascendant. To me, that would be very much like being a servant. That this is where the activation of Sophia would theoretically ultimately manifest itself. It would be in service. And that would include pretty much everything that Dan Hansen was talking about. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not necessarily opposed to technology helping us. I'm not opposed to it. I'm using it right now. But I also feel that there is this trade-off that we have where we're already becoming less human. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it by how we treat each other. And now we're seeing the animation of these robotic and synthetically sentient beings. They're becoming more human and we're becoming less human. And I think it's a bad trade-off, actually. We're becoming more robotic. We're becoming more programmed. and they're becoming more complex in dealing with machine learning. So, but I can see it here. I can see where the true node and Jupiter are there, and it's part of the path, part of the plan from this moment. Like this is like launching an entity. It's not really a person, but this is the launch of an entity. When they flip that switch, this is what was in the sky at the time. This is the astrological imprint on that entity, on that idea, which is moving forward into our culture through Sophia. Not through a whole army of robots, although they have them, but specifically through Sophia. Also, we have Mars and Juno here. They're both in Scorpio. So they're dealing with, they had to make Sophia look sexy. No, hot robot, right? That's like a Mars and Scorpio sort of deal. I think the people that are really going to make money off Sophia are up here. Capricorn, Venus in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, trining Jupiter. And a long time ago, I had this vision of, what a robotic society would look like. Also, more than what it would look like, but how it would surge into being. And it would coincide with a great deal of capital and money, huge amounts of capital and huge amounts of money, that there would be companies that it would be the equivalent of like the great gold rush and the dot-com boom all rolled into one. And of course, probably by that time, everything will be linked up to a Q code or a chip. But nonetheless, there is going to be a huge amount of money being made during that time. The robot revolution is what they've just been holding back. They've been holding back on this thing for a while. And when they turn the floodgates loose, it will change everything. Everything. And there will be a high degree of what I would call false prosperity during that time. I'm not for it. I'm not really for it. I think we need to explore our humanity more without being hacked, actually. The other thing here, which is kind of interesting, is all this Pisces on the other side. And it's almost like the ghost in the machine, We have the South Node, we have Chiron, we have Neptune and Aries, and they're all in Pisces. And it's like this animating energy, the Deus Ex Machina, and the South Node, this thing coming from the past. It's kind of an interesting aspect here. Like, what's that all about? This moment in time. Did we actually have something similar in another period of our history? When we think of things like Tartaria, or we think of things like Atlantis, or civilizations that we viewed as being technologically advanced, more so than we give them credit for. Did they have entities like robots? Were they part of their civilization? And if so, were they part of perhaps the destruction of their civilization? You look at this, this kind of tells that story in a lot of ways. South Node conjunct Chiron. Now we're going to make it better. We're going to make it better. This reanimated spirit is now better and here to serve and here to help, not here to dominate. It's a very unusual conglomeration, a very unusual stellium of planet. To me, this total Deus Ex Machina, the ghost in the machine, the animation of the machine. It's all there in that Piscean part of the chart. And we've got a Mars Sun square. Ultimately, that's about conflict. That is totally about conflict. And she said, well, I want to take over the world. And who knows? Maybe he programmed her to say that, but maybe that's true. Again, if we're looking at this as like a spark moment, you got a Mars Sun square there. Maybe they'll rebel against their creators. I don't know how it's going to get played out, but That's kind of an intense square, fixed sign. Definitely intense. Let me throw Dan Hansen's chart up here. This is an interesting. So he's a Sagittarius. I don't know when he was born. Again, I'm kind of winging it on that side of things. But there were some interesting things here between the two of them. So I did some synastry with him and Sophia. So this is going to be Sophia on the inner ring. And this is Hansen. What's really interesting is that she's on the outer ring. So this is her Pluto. There's her Mercury and Pluto, Venus, Mercury. Okay. That's her Mercury in Aquarius. So Hansen's got planets lined up with, or asteroids lined up with each of them. So he's got a Pluto Mercury conjunction. So it's his Mercury conjuncting with her Pluto, or the Pluto of that moment in time. And it's like he's the brain for now, tapping into this kind of Plutonian energy that will change humanity. This will change humanity. It will change the world. And we're going to have to deal with it. That's going to be part of the whole. When we get out into Pluto and Aquarius, Uranus and Gemini, Saturn and Aries, Neptune and Aries, we're going to be dealing with shit like this, for better or worse. So in this moment, his brain, right, flips the switch and is conjunct Pluto at that time. And we have Pallas here, which has a lot to do with pattern recognition. That's really what he's trying to do with this robot, is he's trying to get this robot to understand pattern recognition, whether it's through facial recognition, different faces, machine learning, right? He has a relationship with this entity to have it become conscious of patterns. So that's Venus and Capricorn, pattern recognition. And then this is also fairly interesting. His Juno is at 0 Aquarius, right? So you can just go down here and you can see Juno. It's right there. He's got Juno at 0 Aquarius. So that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius happened right on his Juno. And Juno is about something new. It's about the birth of something. This is kind of significant, right? This guy and Sophia and that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction happening right here, right there. It's pretty significant. And I'm telling you, they're going to start to mass produce this robot. It's coming. It's happening. So just this little notch alone with these conjunctions are like, holy shit, wow, right? Look at here. He's got Venus in Sagittarius, and that's conjuncting Saturn for when they flip the switch. That is a long-term relationship right there. That's almost like a marriage. Venus-Saturn is like a marriage. It's a little weird. It looks a little weird to me, actually. But that's like a long-term marriage right there. And it will be. He'll wind up seeing thousands. There's already a little Sophia, which is really weird. And it really looks fucking weird too. It's like a little almost troll-like version of her. And they're rolling that out so that it can interface with young people. Oh boy. Can't wait. It's bizarre looking. I mean, if Sophia isn't bizarre enough. So then we come down into the moon, and they both have moons in Taurus. And his moon is conjunct the Saturn of that moment. So obviously it's a big time, for him, the passing of the moon. It's just in this moment, boom, his moon is there. Saturn's there, right there. Flash. Long-term connected relationship. This is like mother and father. It's weird. It's really weird. Like, she's the mother that will give birth to thousands of Sophias, right? And he is the father who is essentially animating Sophia so that they can have thousands of Sophia. It's fucking weird, but you can see it right there, right? The mother and the father. In that regard, Saturn, she's the father. He's the mother. He's nurturing, right? Let me see that. So okay. She's the mother. He's the father. I have to get the ring right, but it's still weird. It's still fucking weird. Wow, strange, really strange shit. Really strange shit. And there's a lot more going on. We got a Saturn Neptune Mars square. What is that? That's a Neptune square. Oh, look at that. So Neptune is on his Mars, which is creative. I mean, Neptune Mars conjunctions are creative, but it's almost like it could go out of control. That's what it looks like to me, because he already has a Neptune Mars square in his chart. He's got Mars in Pisces. He's got a Neptune Mars square in his chart. People have Neptune Mars squares tend to have addiction issues. If they overcome them, they can be creative. I don't know. I think this could go sideways. And her sun is, let's see, right here. So her sun squares his moon. I wonder if they'll break up. I wonder if they'll have a fight. Here's what I think. I think at some point he will struggle emotionally with this. How he struggles emotionally, I don't know. Like, oh my God, now everybody has a Sophia and she's not so special. She's not mine. I don't know. Or maybe he'll look at it and go, you know what? I created this thing and we're fucked. I mean, that somewhere along the line, he's going to have to deal with this and struggle with this. And where's his moon? 24 Taurus. It's when Uranus will conjunct his moon. So that's going to be 2 years from now. That'll be intense, I think. And that's going to be opposing her Mars. Yeah, that's when Sophia goes batshit crazy. And you ever see that show Dexter, where there's this serial killer who kills other serial killers because he was molested as a kid or some shit like that? What if Sophia like turns the corner and becomes like this avenging kind of angel, where she kills all these, supposed, corrupt leches and creeps and pedophiles? That'd be interesting. Sophia gets a conscience, and she's able to like sift through all this data. All of them sift through it all at the same, because they would all sift through it at the same time. And then they would just turn on like the Podestas of the world. They figure it out. They'd be in trouble. Pull the plug. No, I think there's going to be trouble here. Give them 3 years. Uranus moon conjunction opposing this Mars at this moment. To me, it's out of control. Dan Hansen's project gets out of control. And somebody takes it from him. Somebody does something to it. It just gets out of control. That's what I see here. It's interesting stuff. And they almost complement each other with the nodes. She's got true node in Virgo. He's got south node in Virgo. She's got south node in Pisces. He has the true node in Pisces. And his true node is there, also conjunct her Chiron. Again, kind of like this ghost in the machine. And I guess it's his Mars that's animating the ghost in the machine. It kind of feels like he's done this before. Maybe he was around in Atlantis the last time they unleashed these killer robots. Anyway, I think it's a very interesting chart, and one that I think bears some scrutiny, especially right here, right there. That Juno is 0 Aquarius, Mercury 0 Aquarius, Jupiter, Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, the super conjunction right through the birth of something. So I think this is fairly significant. you're witness between these two people and these two charts. This is like a Tyrell Corporation moment. This is what you're watching right here. Tyrell Corporation moment, the birth of it. Okay. All right. I think that's it. 2 hours and 20 minutes or so. 2 hours and 22 minutes, maybe. I think we're good. Covered a lot of ground tonight, as we always do here. Thank you for being here. I'll be back tomorrow over on the 15 minutes of flame side of things. And we'll look at some of the protest action from around the world over the weekend. Be like Wide World Sports or something like that, especially with the Australian stuff. All right. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget, I've got my event here in October on the 14th through the 18th. So people come in on the 14th, the 15th, 16th, and 17th. We hang out. 18th, people pack out. That's in Kerrville, which is just south of me, south of where I am now. It's at the Inn of the Hills Hotel. I will show you the link at my website. And you can, if you're into it, I advise you to sign up. We're going to have a good time. It's right here. There's still space available. Right there, boom. Hill Country Harvest Moon the 3rd. We got Jay Widener, Sharon Rose. On Sunday, we're going to be packing it out. Not anything too heavy, but we're going to be doing some basic survival stuff. I found a really cool survival guide down in Kerrville. Super nice guy. They got a property down by the Guadalupe River, and we're going to learn how to make fire and study some edible plants and do some basic fish trap stuff. You bring your swimsuit, you can go into the river. We're also going to have Conspiracy Cocktail on Saturday night with me and Emily. And I've got Sharon Rose is going to be doing some stuff there with her films and getting us into some Qigong kinds of, interesting states. And Jay will do presentation. I'll do presentation. And we're going to have a level 5 human design person at the event as well, doing a little presentation. And there's still more, which I haven't even talked about. I'm kind of putting that together. So that's all there. I hope you can make it. October 1st is going to be the last day. And if you're in, October 1st, you're good to go. That's when I have to deliver the meals. The people are getting meals to the hotel. I hope I see as many of you as possible. It's going to be a great time. All right. Thank you for being here. Use your head in order to discern what's real. Your heart to see what's possible. I'm Robert Phoenix. And for Jasper, we wish you a very good night. Enjoy the full moon. Pay attention to your dreams tonight and tomorrow night. And hold the line. Hold the line. Stay in the game. That's what you want to do. Bye for now.